what came up for you as you were bringing in new people onto the team and making that decision. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's really scary saying, like, I don't have the capacity anymore to be doing all these jobs as the company's growing and to trust someone to do a better job than you and to let them, I mean, because this company, it's my baby, it's my life's work and put sweat, blood, and tears into it. And so to find people to invite in and to trust that they can get the job done and that they'll be good for my students. It takes a lot of trust and a lot of surrendering and letting go. And it's definitely a big mindset shift.
This is the Miracle Zone.
I ask, I see, I know, I trust, I be.
Hello, lovelies, and welcome to another episode of the Miracle Zone podcast. And I am so excited. Maybe you can hear it in my voice. I was just giggling to be here with an amazing guest today, Krista Kathleen. And Krista Kathleen, hi, Krista. You want to just introduce your voice into the space?
Yes. Hi, Katerina. Thank you for having me on the Miracle Zone podcast. I know that you have been working so hard for, I think, at least a year getting this set up. So to finally be a guest on it's such a gift. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's been a beautiful process of just letting it land. And I'm so grateful to have you as our very first guest. So that feels like a big honor for me. And I wanted to just give people a little bit of context for who you are. So, Krista is the founder of the Born to Coach Training Academy. And who she is to me is a dear friend, and she is also a dear mastermind sister. We are in a mastermind together. And so we have been having the most amazing conversations over the past year about all sorts of business building, leadership topics, energetics. I think we've covered it all, relationships. And one of the things that kept rising up in our conversations was this theme, which is what we're going to focus on today for this podcast episode, of the inner game of growing a team. Because Krista's been on an amazing journey of doing this in her business. And there have been so many amazing lessons, and we've had such beautiful conversations. And so I invited her, hey, why don't you just come on the podcast and let's share these conversations and these learnings with others. And so she graciously said yes. And I am so, so happy to have her here and to do a little bit of behind the scenes on, what's been going on in her business and her team building and her leadership game. And we're all privileged to have a little bit of a sneak peek into that. So, Krista, I want to start off first by just inviting you to share a little bit about what you do, who you serve. Just give us a little bit of insight into the business itself before we go on the back end and have a bit of a sneak peek of what's been going on for you.
Yes, of course. So I have been a practicing professional coach for 9 years now. Before that, I was a labor and delivery nurse and felt that that was not my higher calling and purpose in life, even though it was amazing, you know, attending thousands of births and bringing life into this world. And so, yeah, I became a life coach. And then a couple years into that journey, I built my entire business from my intuition and co-creating with Source. And so the universe told me that they wanted me to start my own life coach training program and to have it be ICF accredited. ICF stands for International Coaching Federation. They're the top credentialing center in the world for coaches and coach training programs. And so, yeah, I went on that journey to create the Born to Coach Training Academy. It opened up in October of 2021. And it was the hardest and scariest thing I've ever done, but it's been so rewarding. I truly believe that the world needs more professional coaches in it, and the world would be a better place with more people having coaching skills. And so I do that full time now. I have anywhere between 20 to 40 students that I train in a year. And we've graduated about 30 students now from all over the world and helping them to get their ICF credentials, getting their life coaching businesses off the ground. And I get to work from home all day, every day, which makes my cancer rising side of me very happy. I'm literally
Same
like,
as me. I'm also Cancer rising. So I'm like,
"Yay."
here you are wrapped up in a blanket. I have mine here too.
I have
I
to
love
be
it.
cozy and comfortable all day. So yeah, I'm like literally in a blanket right now. Most of the time I'm working in my bathrobe, my fuzzy bathrobe and my slippers. And I'm so content. I'm so happy.
I love that. Well, thank you for getting dressed for me today, but you didn't have to. So, one of the things, Krista, that you shared and you said is professional coaching. And so, just for anybody who might not know what exactly that means, as opposed to just being a coach, can you just clarify what that means?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anytime you're a professional, you're getting paid for your work. So there's a lot of people out there who are calling themselves life coaches, but they're just like posting inspirational quotes on Instagram. And so I want to help people to really like become, set up profitable coaching businesses and do this work part-time and full-time and get paid really well and to abide by a code of ethics, so the ICF code of ethics and the core competencies which we teach, and to just show up in the world as a credible professional. And so to a lot of times life coaches have imposter syndrome, and I find that when we don't take the time to get educated and trained and have the ICF credentials behind our name, that we don't really take our work seriously. And I see life coaches on the same level as therapists, doctors, nurses, lawyers. And, our work is very serious and very important that we do. And we deserve to get paid really well, especially when we take the time to put hundreds of hours into coaching hours and education and everything. So that's kind of like, yeah, what I think of the difference with like a professional coach versus someone who's just like wakes up one day, calls himself a life coach, maybe goes on Udemy and takes like a weekend course and is trying to become a six-figure coach from that place. It doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you're speaking, it's taking me back to when I did my certification. So I did mine almost exactly 10 years ago as well. And I actually did two of them as well. So yeah, I really believe in that. And I see in a lot of people, there's always that question, should I do it? Should I not do it? And I know that you're a beautiful resource if people have that question to reach out to and just explore that topic, whether they're new to coaching or maybe they're doing other things and want to incorporate coaching into it. So for anybody listening, don't be shy. Krista and her team are amazing. And I really wanted to, as I mentioned before, spend some time going a bit behind the scenes because that's a big endeavor. It's like one thing to decide that I'm going to be a professional coach. And then another thing to decide, oh, I'm actually going to support others to do that. And a lot of my clients are setting up, certification programs and also thinking about what schools, academies, institutes, parts of their legacies they want to build out. And a big part of that is always, oh, like if I'm going to that level, there's a certain level of mastery of the craft within me, but also the support structure that I need in place to be able to serve more people and to take them through a whole certification program and then other offerings as well. And one of the things that I love about you is that you have such high regard for the certification and the credentials on one hand, and you're also such a free spirit. I know you work also with energy, and you have a program also where you help people incorporate that into their coaching practice, right? And so you're very inclusive of all of the things without poo-pooing credentials. And so in order to be able to hold all that, we need a team. And I know you've been on that journey this year. So I'm just going to pause a little bit and maybe you can begin by sharing where you were when you were beginning and where you've gotten now in terms of actually building out that support structure of a team to help you deliver and increase your impact?
Yeah, and before I answer that, I will say I struggled with this part of my identity, and maybe people listening can relate to this of I feel like I have a foot in both worlds here with there's a part of me that loves being involved with the International Coaching Federation and the structure and the organization that they provide for the certification part. And then there's this other part, and then the ICF has a really like strong corporate um, energy to it as well. And so then also I'm very spiritual. I'm spiritual AF. And I literally just got back from an ayahuasca ceremony last weekend, still processing everything that came through for that. But yeah, I have a Reiki level 1 and level 2 training that I offer. I do a lot of hypnotherapy and energy healing in additional to my life coaching. And I've recently started to develop my psychic and mediumship skills as well too. So I love that I can bring both of these worlds, the really spiritual world and then the corporate ICF world together into my program because I know there's a lot of people out there who want both of those modalities. And I used to feel really ashamed about that at first and being like, I don't know where I belong. I don't know where I fit in. And then I realized like I don't have to belong or fit in, that I get to create my own category here and that there's other people out there who are looking for something like that too.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. I think that's so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, so then the team aspect. So, I mean, with any entrepreneur, when I first started the Born to Coach Training Academy in October 2021, it was me running the show for the most part. I did have my video editor and my YouTube strategist and my assistant, my virtual assistant that was helping me. They were the ones that were helping me when I was running my personal coaching business. And then I realized that I was building a company and that I was going to be supporting a lot of students and that I needed a lot more help. And so after 2 years of kind of losing my mind, I was like, okay, it's time to start building my team. And so I added in a support coach. So she was a graduate of my first class. And once she got her ICF credentials, she became our go-to on staff life coach, support coach for the students, and they get to do sessions with her every month. And I used to provide a lot of that support. And it was a lot for me to be mentoring and teaching my students and having to be their life coach at the same time. So that was one of the first things that I outsourced and delegated. And that felt really good. And then, yeah, she's still with us today. And then the next team member that I added on was a trainer. And so my trainer does the observed calls with the students, and each student gets 6 observed calls. And so when I was doing that, I was doing like, it was so many. It was like 30 to 50 calls a month. And it just like totally ate up my entire schedule. And so, yeah, now I have a trainer who does those calls for me. I trust her. She was a past client. She's also ICF trained as well. And the students just love working with her. And then the next person I just added onto my team a month ago is an ICF assessor. And he's a man that's located in Europe, and he grades the final performance evaluations for my students, which it's just a part of the job I don't enjoy doing. And I've really learned this past year, Katerina, of us being in the Goddess Mind with our coach Jessica, is that I get to run a business from the place that I love. And if there's things that I think you actually said this quote, Katerina, that like, if I don't love doing something, there's someone else out there who does love doing it.
Yes.
And realizing that was so freeing, and that I was like, okay, I have the money and the resources now that I can outsource the things that, yeah, I don't enjoy doing. And now I'm running a business from much more my zone of genius, and my students are getting so well supported, and it's a little bit more expensive, to be honest, but And I know we'll probably get into that a little bit more here, but yeah, I'm so happy and I love having a team. Yeah, it's so great.
I love that. So I wanted to reflect back something that really landed. It was like a jaw drop moment was when you said, there's a moment when I realized I'm building a company.
Yeah.
So I just want to honor that moment because I think we all have that moment, and it's a defining moment between, being a solopreneur and a business owner and then an entrepreneur and then a CEO, right? There's this whole journey that we go on. And at one point, there's like that internal shift. And then we start making decisions from a very different place, right? And so I love how you share that. And even just in you speaking about it, it was like I could feel the gravitas of that moment. And it's, what gives us the audacity and the courage to invite more people in because it can be a scary thing to do. So I'm wondering, what came up for you as you were bringing in new people onto the team and making that decision. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's really scary saying like, I don't have the capacity anymore to be doing all these jobs as the company's growing and to trust someone to do a better job than you and to let them, I mean, because this company, it's my baby, it's my life's work and put sweat, blood, and tears into it. And so to find people to invite in and to trust that they can get the job done and that they'll be good for my students. It takes a lot of trust and a lot of surrendering and letting go. And it's definitely a big mindset shift.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, what you alluded to before is it can be expensive, right?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about that openly that anytime we're bringing somebody on board, especially if they're going to be an ongoing hire and it's not just like a short-term project, we are taking a bigger risk financially. And also, we don't want to be, messing around with people. We build relationships with people on our team, especially, Cancer risings. Like we care about our people, right? So we want to make sure that we can continue to pay them when we're not going to be, they're in one day and all of a sudden, oh, sorry, just kidding, the next month, depending on how launches go and things like that. And that was actually one of the conversations that we were having that I thought would be really interesting to bring here is because one of the things that's so common to see is we have a certain profit that we're turning, and then we bring a team on board, and then we kind of have this uncomfortable adjustment period. And we were talking about like a calibration period before we necessarily see the profits go up from the added capacity and all of the efforts. And so oftentimes that looks like team in, profit down, and then it's like, what am I doing? What did I do? And so I love for you to speak a little bit into that, if you experience that and how you navigated that piece.
Mhm. Yeah. So, Katerina, you and I were messaging about this back and forth on Voxer last weekend when I was at my ayahuasca ceremony. And so I'm glad we're talking about this. That I just recently met with my bookkeeper and I went over my numbers for the year to prepare for taxes. And we were looking at last year, I made the same amount of money the past couple of years, which is really cool to be staying consistent in that way. However, my take home profit this year was a lot less than it was the previous year. And we realized it's because I have a bigger team now and I have more support. But the funny thing is like I'm loving running my business and having so much fun and enjoying being in it now more than ever, even though I'm making less right now than when I was making more when I had a smaller and I was doing more things. So there is a price to pay. And I don't feel like it's going to be this way forever. I think it's just, I don't know about you, Katerina, but I found that anytime I up level in my business and I put in new strategies in place, there's kind of like it stalls. I feel like the income stalls for a moment while things are recalibrating. And so that's kind of where I have the biggest team I've ever had. I'm the most supported, but yeah, the incoming's stalling a little bit right now. But at the same time, like I'm paying all my bills, I'm paying all my team. I feel good. I feel good with where we're at. And I know that I actually, what was it that you told me? Do you remember when you messaged me about this? I felt like the advice was really good and it gave me a lot of hope.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think I shared two things with you, which I'm happy to share with the listeners. So
Yeah.
I think the first thing is I think it's really easy for us to focus on the short term instead of the long term. And we see a lot of people coming into starting a new business, into the coaching space or the whatever business it is, and going really hard. And maybe, some people don't see that many results, but some people do. And it's great motivation. It's like, whoa, I'm killing it. There's like the 6-figure goals and there's the 7-figure goals. And we're still having a very narrow-minded, shorter term framework where oftentimes it can be a lot of the foundational work we're doing and it's a slower build over time, but it's a more sustainable build and we don't burn out. So I know that you have a story of burnout. I know I have a story of burnout as well. And so it's something that we're very intentional about. But the truth is that when we do experience burnout, then that really affects our bottom line in a serious way. A lot of people decide they no longer want to do it anymore, or it takes a lot of time to heal, or we have high medical bills for that autoimmune, disorder that all of a sudden we have. And so it can be costly in other ways when we're doing a lot of things ourselves. And so in our mind, we're like, oh, it's so much more expensive because, I'm bringing on a team and it means that I'll probably be able to do it for a much longer amount of time. I'll be healthier. I'll be more vibrant. I'll be in, what I call the miracle zone. The downloads will drop in. The magic will happen. I'll be in good energy for it. And the abundance and profits and overall magic will grow from there, right? Even if it's not a direct linear number growth that we see. So I think one of it was a little bit, I shared with you the opportunity cost of not doing it. It's like, okay, but then we'll be making maybe a lot of money for a short amount of time instead of like making increasingly larger amounts of money for a longer period of time, often setting up things that outlive us, right? That we live a legacy. We don't even need to be as involved and it keeps giving and growing and profiting. So that was one thing. And the second piece that I mentioned also was how important it is when you do decide to bring in a team to free up your time, what you're actually spending that time on, right? And so I think it's a balance of that, and I'd love to hear from you how it's played out in your life. But sometimes it's more for rest or for internal reflection or for being in the miracle zone, doing the miracle zone things that will bring about the magic in all the ways. And sometimes it's for rest or being with family, things we've been wanting to do and don't have enough time for. And also, it's like remembering, okay, I'm bringing in a team. And so that's two questions. Like, I'm making sure that I'm bringing in the right person who's great at what they're doing so that it's getting great results. And so it's like leveraging the impact and the profits that we can bring in and the number of people that we're serving. And secondly, what am I spending my time on? Am I doing more sales or am I creating space to create new offers, to bring in new revenue streams, right? And I think that's where we have that little, the plateau or stalling that you mentioned. It's like, oh, I was doing this and I brought people in and now they're doing that. And now I have spaciousness and also more cost. Okay, but in that spaciousness, what is possible to be birthed that will then make that profit spike and make the impact and number of people we reach spike very quickly once we get out of that turning point. So another thing that I would be curious to hear is, I know one of the other conversations that we had was around team and managing just more people on your team. And we were having a really beautiful conversation about team meetings and like, what do I do with all of these people? I'd love to hear from you. Yeah. Other kind of growth pieces that came to the fore as you were bringing more and more people onto your team. And yeah, any thoughts that you have to share with others who are listening who might be in a similar place of also bringing people on, but it's like, how do I manage all the, what do I do with them once they're on?
So something that you and Jessica helped me with was starting team meetings, monthly team meetings. And I've been doing those for 3 or 4 months now, and they've been amazing. I was like really debating if it was something that was worth it, because then I was going to need to pay each person. And then it's an hour and a half out of my schedule, and I prepare notes ahead of time, but it's been so worth it. It's just really nice to have everybody meet at one time, and then, the communication's flowing and we can solve problems quicker. And then I find that the more that I operate from this place of team, that my students and everybody in the company benefits from that as well, too. So that's been such a huge value add. And I really appreciate your support with helping to figure out like how to structure that and what to talk about on the meetings. And I still would love to have you like come in and observe and see how we could improve that even further. And making sure, I think you said too, like everyone's really being in their role, in their miracle zone for each team member. But yeah, that's been so amazing and something I highly recommend for anyone who's running a company to have team meetings at least once a month.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you mentioned that, because often what I find when I go on the back end of companies and businesses is either they're not really doing team meetings, and then so we don't benefit from some of the things that you mentioned. And also it's really hard to like build a culture, like a company culture, just through online Slack messages or Voxer or whatever. Or they have like way too many meetings and it's not effective. It's like, what systems can we put in place to streamline it? So I love that you have your magic monthly meeting, and it's feeling really, really good to you. And yeah, and it's something that, evolves over time and is part of us stepping into our miracle zone, and all of a sudden caring about our team and their miracle zone too. We get to spread that love and then identify the gaps on the team. And it's such a powerful practice. So thanks for mentioning that, because I think it's something that seems so like admin-y, like who wants to have team meetings? I don't know.
I
The four lines, the four
yeah.
lines in human design like me are like, I love a good team meeting, but there's people
Oh,
who are just like, let's get it done.
yeah. I don't know. For me, it's super fun. And like I could be running team meetings all day, every day. So yeah, there's probably I'm a Capricorn sun or my human design, but I think I think that's personally really fun.
Amazing. So, Krista, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing some behind the scenes, behind the pulling back the curtain about the team growth in your business. It's been beautiful to watch you step into that. I'm sure the team will continue to grow. I know you have some new offerings coming up. Space has been created. We were talking about this earlier about
Right.
space has been created for new things because you have a team. I know you have a new mastermind that you've created, and it's really just beautiful to watch you. So I wanted to invite everybody who's listening to check out Krista and the beautiful offerings of her training academy. And Krista, is there anything in particular you want to point people towards as a resource?
Yeah. So I feel really called to work with people who feel that becoming a life coach may be a part of their bigger purpose and mission and life calling. And so if you feel that that's part of your life calling as well, or maybe you're already a business owner or a healer and you want to add coaching skills into what you're already doing, we can help train you at that professional transformational coaching level. And so yeah, we're currently enrolling new students in the Born to Coach Training Academy, and it's a 12-month program. It's online, and we teach you the ICF Code of Ethics, the ICF Core Competencies, how to structure a life coaching session. And semester 2 is all about the business side of things, marketing yourself as a coach, branding yourself as a coach, putting your coaching offer together. And I find that 94% of coaches don't just offer coaching. They will usually bring in Reiki and hypnotherapy and consulting and teaching in addition to coaching. So we teach you how to bundle all of that together into a really juicy, amazing offer, and then to sell that. And we do a lot of practice selling as well too, so you can get paid what you're worth for your coaching and your gifts. And so, yeah, that's the Born to Coach Training Academy. And we also have an amazing in-person retreat in Sedona, Arizona as well, where we do cacao ceremonies, breath work, hiking, intuition development workshops. And so that counts for 25 training hours for the program. And then I also have a free gift as well. It's a get started life coaching checklist. And on this checklist, it tells you all the things you need to get started that are essential right now with becoming a professional coach, building your life coaching business, and then things that you'll need to upgrade later on. I also have a coaching audio clip on there where you can hear me coaching a client. So if you want to hear what professional coaching sounds like, and then we have our life coaching structure and outline that we teach in the Born to Coach Training Academy in this gift too. So you can see what kind of questions to ask and how to set up a coaching session.
Amazing. So you can check out all of the info for Krista and for everything that she just mentioned in the links. You can also check her out on YouTube. She has an amazing YouTube channel, and we'll include that below. Krista, thank you so much for making the time to come here today. It's been really juicy, really beautiful, and I just wish you all the best. And to everybody who's listening, I'll see you on the next episode of the Miracle Zone podcast. Thank you, Krista.
I trust I be.
Thank you for tuning in to the Miracle Zone. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a transmission. And if today's episode and conversation resonated, leave a review and share it with a fellow visionary leader. In the links, you can access my free Miracle Business Blueprint, the 7-part framework I use with my clients to create a thriving, scalable, and self-sustaining business that gives you more freedom, not less. Plus, you'll receive a guided process to identify where to focus first so you can spend more time leading in your miracle zone right away. Let's build the new as a collective for the collective. Together, we're not just creating miracles, we're living them. Until next time, stay in the miracle zone.